to the Sad Dads Club podcast. Here's everybody's favorite sad dads, Jim and Foo.
I have many things. Actually, no, I don't. I mean, they'll probably easily out.
Yeah,
which is probably an indicator of where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, where I'm going to go ties in, oddly enough, like, because we share the Sad Dad's Gmail.
Right.
And I get like the recommended TikTok shit.
Oh yeah.
And in between setting up the thing, like usually I don't have time to fucking get on here and look at everybody's little recommended TikToks. But for whatever reason I clicked that one.
Uh-huh.
And there was Tony Overbay.
Oh yeah.
His and I went, "Oh shit, that dude's on TikTok too?" I watched whatever one was in there.
Yeah, and then a whole bunch more.
No,
oh, okay.
just that one.
Right.
But I thought it was funny because he talks about. We'll get there.
Okay,
we'll get there. Okay, yeah. So there. Hey, welcome,
we got a direction.
Welcome to Sad Dads Club podcast, episode 229. I'm the Lord Foo.
I'm Jim.
Okay.
Well, wow, we got that out of the way quick.
So before I get into the meat of where we're going, this one was Piper just had a chemistry exam at the college,
mm-hmm.
and this thing just stuck out like all of a sudden as she was doing net new homework. So I was helping her study for this chemistry exam yesterday. And we talk about public school. Like, there's no shortage of criticism about public school and like whatever the new math or whatever these things and
the new math.
Listen, it's school. Pay attention, do the shit.
Yeah.
But and there is a widened gap between what I saw as a parent and helping Piper with homework as Piper in high school and Xander in high school. And the observation I have made is that homework, I'm sure there are studies because it's where we are, but the frequency and requirement of homework that you and I and our generation understands, and quite possibly maybe my brother, who was only 5 years behind me, is drastically different than what my kids know. And
I'm curious to know in which way.
It's less. That the homework is like for. I'm not trying to like polish any kind of political agenda here, but the general concept, I believe, is that once you leave school outside of certain tasks and topics, you shouldn't be get out of school, go home, and you spend 4 hours working on homework because you spent all day doing the curriculum, academia, and like you need a mental health break and you need to go outside and you need to experience things. Like, I'm all for that. Absolutely. But and for us, well, for me, high school and whatnot, and even college courses, the ones that I took, it was the opposite. Like I get home, I had hours of homework. Now, if you were gifted or something and you could manage your time and accordingly, but if you did sports or you did AP courses, there were you got home and there were hours of homework. Yes? Would you?
Yeah.
I mean, if you were
If you were inclined.
if you were inclined, there was a lot of book time, a lot of writing reports, reading a thing, crunching on problems, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
Piper had, relative to like comparing her and Xander, Piper had somewhat more of a hybrid. Like she had homework and she had, she didn't have the course load that I did. She hit all of her units, but she seemed to have an ability to schedule some of her courses in required classes. She either took early, so it seemed like she had more, not fluff. Fluff is a bad word because they were important to her, but they were more like choose your own adventure kind of thing. Like she took dance and she had multiple band stuff, and so she had courses, but they weren't, geometry, AP Lit, that kind of stuff. She didn't have a full course load of stuff that was like, grinding shit.
You're right.
But the courses she did have, she had homework, and the studying put her in a book or with practice stuff with a good amount of time, but you could tell that it was less than what you and I would have experienced. Xander seems to be like full, we want you to get all of the stuff that you need to get done here on campus. He may have like a project that requires, or he has to practice, a music thing after school or in his room or over the weekend, or he has a project that requires him some reading, but he generally gets all of his homework done. He's getting straight A's, so it's getting done.
Yeah, it's not like he's just not doing it.
Right. He is getting all of his homework done. He gets home roughly about 3:45. He is done with homework in an hour, easy, and getting A's. So the bulk of homework is either getting done on campus or they're not being sent home with it because it's all being provided on campus. And what seems to be the problem with that is that the junior college, and I would wager major colleges, do not work that way. Piper has, her chemistry class is absolutely slammed with its condensed homework, and all of its study program stuff. Its curriculum is like every day, hours upon hours of stuff. If you want to ace that class and you are an average student or slightly under maybe B, it is hours a day to knock out your homework, prep yourself for quizzes or studies or labs, and attempt to get B's, A's. And I think the habits that you and I would have, because we were like, oh, I have to set aside there's no free time for me, because in order to get those things done, and this is what it is. For 4 years, we did it this way. The kids coming out of high school that are like, oh, on campus, I don't really have any homework. Like, my entire evening's fucking free. Like, I did what I had to do, but it only took me 30 minutes because that's the scope of the homework, and I knocked it out. And then you get to a JC, and they're like, yeah, here's hours of homework. And it's not that the kids can't do it, it's that the kids don't have a
routine,
right? Or an understanding of, oh shit, like this is just chemistry. It's not AP chemistry, and I have this worksheet to do today, this worksheet to do tomorrow, and a quiz in 3 days on the entire thing. Like, if I don't understand it, what happens?
Yeah.
you fail, or you find a way to like. And I don't think the kids. I'm helping bridge that gap with Piper, but I think it will be an extreme culture shock for Xander. Like, it is way different.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say that I would be a poor example because in high school, I just didn't give a shit about
Shit.
I was very, very cyclic. I would run into the beginning of the semester and be like, yay, new semester. I'm starting fresh.
Yeah.
And I would like go hard for a couple of weeks and then it would all fall apart.
Huh.
And I would try and be as organized as possible and I just couldn't keep my focus.
Yeah.
Now looking back on it, I think that's what it was. It was like, I just couldn't keep my focus on the big picture or I think I've talked about this on the show before, the whole calendar challenge thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of it. Like even in high school, like there were things like that would get assigned to you that were a project or whatever that were due way out in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, it was like, oh, that's a long way to go to get to there.
Right.
But then it just wasn't. It never was.
Right.
But in my mind, it was far away. And then all of a sudden it would surprise me because You're
like,
oh shit, that's tomorrow?
Fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
So I do remember having homework, math. I always seem to have math homework. There,
Right.
There were classes where you'd have little niggly bits here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Admittedly, there's a lot of times where I would just come back to class and be like, shit, we had homework? Okay. Like, I didn't even know that.
Huh. Yeah.
So I struggle with that from just a me perspective.
Yeah.
I was terrible with giving as much fucks probably as I could have. But like my kids, Chandler, he was kind of similar in that regard to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Melanie is just one of the people that if she had homework, she would spend the time doing the homework. But she always seemed to have homework.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Chandler, it was hard to tell because he was like me.
I think somewhere in my junior year of high school, like it was like homework, every homework all the time, all the time. And then somewhere at the tail end of my junior year, going into my senior year, it was like I had this moment of like behind the curtain, like, okay, I understand the psychology of some of these questions, and I understand like the concepts that the teachers have to get across. And it was like, I can't unsee that all I really need to know are these things and nothing in between. And so it was like one of those, like, I can't unsee that all I need to know is to regurgitate a thing.
Right.
And so
you go hard on that little tidbit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I spent like almost like my entire senior year, like I'm gaming the system. Like it was like,
how little can I get away with?
Right. I'm going to get A's in everything without actually caring about the concept because I know what they want me to know. So I'm just going to, and so it was like, yeah, I got this. I got this. Outside the AP biology stuff that I cared about, it was like, yeah, okay. I see the game here, and I'm going to get A's in these classes, but not actually learn anything because I understand what you're trying to.
Yeah.
And then
I am too smart for you.
Right. It was like, and then that was that's usually part of my problem. It's like once I see the end game, it's like everything else is like, why am I bothering with that? That's tedium. That's toil. Like why?
Yeah.
That's useless to me.
Yeah.
Everything in between here is like, I just need to know the problems and the quickest way to solve like I would do all of the answers or all of the questions in like a test or a lab or homework, I would just do all of them ahead of time and be like, well, which ones did you want? Are we assigned? They're all done. Like, I already did it.
Just turn them all in.
Yeah, turn them on. Here's all of it.
Yeah.
They're done.
Yeah.
And then I cruise the rest of the time. Like, oh, you're going to ask these. So it's like Ingress tends to be that way too. It's like I can see where the things are at, and so it's like, well, in between, you're not. This is not really a challenge,
right?
Like, you're going to go here, and I'll go right here and stop your thing, and then what? I'll see you in 4 hours because you'll be butthurt that I did that thing, and then you'll be like, I can do it. And I'll be like, no, you cannot.
Are you talking about your teacher?
Yeah. So Piper took this test that I helped her study for. And for me, being involved, it was like a little bit of 11th hour. And she, I think she probably feels that she was unprepared. And she came home and she was frustrated. I'm like, it is what it is. Like
some of those classes, like, you don't know what the tests are going to be like.
Right. And it turns out that she, because Ethan, her cousin, is actually in the same class. The teacher had at least two different tests.
Oh.
So her and her cousin didn't even get the same test.
Oh, interesting.
So they talked afterwards, and she was like, everything I got was like, talking about blah, 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 blah. And he was like, well, I didn't have any of those questions. Like, my test was like,
And there's the reason why.
And she was like, fuck, of all the people that could have used an easier test, she's like, I would have liked to have had the easier test, kind of thing. But she came home, and I'm like, it is what it is. Like, all you can take from I think it was this was the first test in this course. In her first year in college courses, I think this is the first one that has been like, you're in the big leagues now. This is the big dog stuff. And I think it was like a level set for sure. Like, there was a lot of material. She probably, like I said, I asked her, I'm like, all you can do now is course correct for the next one. Like, what do you feel you could have done better? What do you, what could you have done different? And you need to start making those adjustments now for what you know when the next test is, because if you don't, then it's really on you for not being prepared again. This one is essentially your toss away freebie. Like, this class was hard. I didn't know what to expect. The test was absolutely brutal. How do I do the next one different? Like, I saw her effort. It wasn't like she tried to cake it.
Right.
It wasn't that she like was flippant ignorant of like the effort needed. She wrote me in over the weekend like, I need some help here and here and here, and some help answering these questions. So I know she was putting out effort, and she knows that she was also trying, but perhaps she waited too close to trying to dial stuff in based off the material. She's not a fucking chemist. She does, but this is a minimum required for where she wants to go.
Yeah.
So she obviously needs to pass it, but it is not like math to Mike or skateboarding and soccer to you or an ingress behavior patterns for me. It's hard. So she's not, things don't just absorb easy. So that's where she's going. But in talking about and just seeing her work on homework again tonight, I'm like, it's so, seeing that reminds me of how homework was for us, but all the way through high school. But the kids don't seem to have that. I don't know if it's worse. Both the kids are mentally healthy relative to the amount of effort they had to put in after school, but I'm not so sure it may be worth it when it comes to some of the kids that want to have an academic career after high school, where they don't, like you said, they don't have a behavior or routine to recognize, oh shit, there is a lot of work here, and where I came from, it used to all get done on campus. And now these teachers are like, cool, here was your hour-and-a-half lecture, or here was your hour-long lab, and there's extra stuff that you have to do that will probably take you an hour to 2 hours just for my class. Have fun. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. You know, I don't think the kids are ready. They don't have that yet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was one of my big struggles was come test day. I never knew where I was supposed to put my effort.
Yeah.
And memorization was not my strong suit.
Mm-hmm.
So that was always tough for me. Like, if one of my kids came to me and said, how do I study for this? Well, number one, I'm not in the class, so I don't know necessarily what points that teacher wants to. But number two, I'm like, I couldn't figure this shit out for myself.
Yeah.
And then I would try to take on too much and get mired in all the bullshit that wasn't relevant. You know, and not knowing. And
she had a problem on her study test. Generally, you know, looking at the materials and what she knows and the notes and the practice, like the homework stuff, my usual first approach to her is when she gets to a problem is like, do you have an example from your homework from earlier in the chapter that this works off of? And that usually like kickstarts anything that she needs to like, oh, yes. Oh, so I can apply it. Absolutely. And then she's off and running. So it's like a kickstart thing. She ran into something on her practice test. So today is Wednesday. Monday night that we were working through, and it was one that even I went, I don't know. And she skipped it, moved on to some other stuff while I just fucking grinded on this one. Like, okay, I need to circle back like some concept, and I'm like grabbing the book and I'm Google typing the problem like, give me an example. Like if I had an example that I can work off of,
right,
I can explain it. Like, okay, I see what's going on here. This problem was fucking nowhere to be found on Al Gore's internet. And it absolutely, and then it pissed me off.
Maybe only in the dark web.
Right. Yeah. Apparently I fucking got to get on some Russian Ukrainian subnetwork, Fuzzy Bears. It was, and then it's just pissed. It was in my mind. I couldn't let it go. She eventually, I left the table, and she was like, "I have to take a break anyway." She had to go to bed. It was getting late. I'm like, I can't let this fucker go. Like I
leave your homework here.
I took a fucking picture of the problem, and I had written it down. And then I'm in the office. It's fucking like midnight. I'm like, okay. So I just had to walk back the chapter. Like, okay, I understand where we're at. So I have to learn the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere about 1 a.m., I ran across some YouTube thing that like, because the law of the mass of conservation, you can't. And I went, oh.
So the text didn't.
The
way textbook didn't explain it at all.
No.
Did it have the concept in the book?
It did, but it wasn't. It was like one of those gotcha fucking ones. It was the way the problem was worded. Was it looked on its face like it was missing a key, like it was missing a key component of data. Like you give me 5 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag, but only X amount. There's something else in the bag,
peanuts,
that makes up the 5 pounds.
Shit.
How much does it weigh? And you're like, yeah, well, you told me it was 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, no. There's something else in the bag. and the total weighs 5 pounds. How much does it weigh? And you're like,
But you just said there was 5 pounds of shit.
right. Well, what else is in the bag? Well, it's calcium. Okay, so how much? 5 pounds. That's all you get. And you're like, so your mind is like, you've given me enough. And it turns out
It's air.
Right. You know, it's something ludicrous like that. And it's like, well, and if I burn the bag, you get 4 pounds of calcium carbonate. How many pounds of oxygen are in the bag? And you're like, I don't understand. I'm missing a key component of the stuff. And once you have a fundamental law of mass understood, you're like, oh, I have all of the data. It's that this has to equal, I see. But it took me until fucking 2 a.m. to get that one simple nugget of like, oh, well, it's because I haven't taken chemistry in 30 fucking years.
So chemicals are different now.
So all I'm looking at is the surface problem. It's just, yeah, chemicals are different.
We use different chemicals now.
Turns out matter reacts different now. Duh. Right? No. So a lot of it is like, I have to relearn something. And unfortunately, she had gone to bed. And, what are you going to do? And oddly enough, my nephew, he would have had it wrong too, because he sent her something like just before she went to bed, and he was like, it has to be this, because this is the closest thing, and it had to do with adding another element to find like a kind of... No,
that wasn't it.
No. Man, if you walked into that with that, ain't gonna happen. Like, where are you fucking... No one's adding salt to the 5 pounds of shit. No, it's not happening.
It depends on the elevation of the shit.
A lot of it stems from like, okay, well, so if she struggles, then I'll learn the topic.
Yeah.
But with only 24 hours to go, especially if the teacher's going to throw in these curveballs where it's like, technically everything's here, but there's a gotcha, and you have to have been paying attention to this other thing. Did you take notes there? Because I didn't. So that's where we're at.
F that S.
Right.
It's right in the B.
Man. Right in the... Did you say beeve?
B.
F
in the
B.
butt. Well, while we're sitting here, I was very distracted.
Okay. Well, chemistry will do that.
No. Literally, while we're sitting here, I get a bunch of pictures from my wife.
Uh-oh.
And she's naked in bed with some guy.
Oh,
no.
yes.
They are of my garage floor, and a bunch. They are 1, 2, 3, 4,
Snowmen?
5, 6 photographs
Uh-oh.
of liquid apparently coming out of the bottom of my car all over my fucking garage floor.
Uh-oh.
That I didn't know was happening.
Oh, they
when
colored?
It looks
oil?
like it. I don't know. It looks like coolant, to be honest.
Okay.
I have never had a leak out of this car. I mean, one time I had a hose that broke and I replaced it. So that was not the only
PCV.
time.
This is prior to the current shenanigans that are involved.
This car has never leaked. Like I said, it had a broken hose one time.
Right. But this is prior to current.
What do you mean? Yes.
You've replaced
that was a while
cracked
ago.
PCV thing.
No. That's the PCV is only going to have like oil
residue.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
okay.
Not, you're not going to get an oil.
This is this.
You're not going to get an oil leak out of the top of the engine
unless you have a Jeep,
because it is particles of oil that are flowing through there.
Okay. So you have.
If you saw the photographs that my wife just sent me, you would be as distracted as I am right now when you were telling me the story.
Oh, these are like pools or drops?
Oh.
Pools.
Yes. Oh. Pools. And I thought I smelled some coolant. So it looks like coolant to me. It's not really oil.
Okay. Did you tell her to touch it?
So now I have to fucking go back to that motherfucking shop and tell them to shove it up their fucking ass. I'm sorry. I'm like pissed off.
Now you're pissed.
Yeah, now I'm pissed.
Well, we'll be able to check too.
Oh, I'm sure it's probably leaking out there.
Are you in the driveway?
No, I'm actually parked out front.
So you're level.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would be level in my garage.
Right, but you wouldn't be level if you had parked in the driveway, which might make it hard to see, because then it would run down your chassis, as opposed to if you're parked on the pavement.
I'll share these photos with you after we get done talking. But essentially, let's talk about that for a moment. I picked my car up last Wednesday, and I was so excited. And then I got to drive it for, let's see, I drove it here Wednesday night after I picked it up, and then I drove it.
Right.
Like Thursday, I think we went somewhere. And then Friday, I took my wife out to, crazy. I used my vehicle to like take my wife out to dinner, like cross town.
Right.
And when I came home and I pulled in my driveway and let my wife out so she could get out of the car, and then gave it a little gas to pull it in the garage, and it's a check engine light. Again, the same check engine light that started all this shit over a month ago now. So I'm very frustrated. And then now I've got, apparently, because I haven't been using the car because of the check engine light.
Right.
It runs crappy after it's run for a while. So if, like, I drove it here tonight, it runs okay. But if I drove it across town and back, it would, like, shit the bed, right? But apparently also now I have a fucking giant amount of coolant or something that is ending up on my garage floor, which is super fucking irritating. I mean, literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 photographs of fucking spots all over the floor of my garage that I didn't know were there.
And it hasn't been moved.
Not really,
right?
no. I didn't really drive it all weekend. The only time I drove it Friday. The check engine light came on. It sat in the garage all weekend. I didn't take it anywhere. The only time I drove it was Monday to go have the battery tested. That was Monday.
So you've only changed positions twice.
Maybe 3 times, because I think well, 4, because I came home with it on Wednesday, drove it here.
Okay.
Went somewhere Thursday night, came back, drove it Friday night and came back.
Okay.
And then drove it Monday.
Came back.
Yeah. But these are all short trips, just in-town stuff.
Zip in, zip outs.
And then tonight.
Right.
To come here. So I haven't even really driven it since I got it back, and it's fucking leaking all over the place. And I'm fucking irritated. I'm really getting upset now. My patience only goes so far. I've been really cool about it all, but when it's fucking leaking all over my garage floor, I'm starting to lose it.
Right, because they were only touching stuff at the top. So what coolant hose got
clobbered? I don't know. It's never done this before. It's never leaked oil. It's never leaked. I mean, it leaked coolant the one time, but that was literally a broken hose that I replaced. So what the fuck is happening? Namaste, Jim. Namaste. So, sorry, I was a little bit distracted.
No, it's okay.
So, anyway.
Okay, are you ready?
Shiny, happy people, I'm trying to stay positive.
Speaking of shit, are you ready?
Yeah.
So, we're both old.
I'm older, so that's cool.
Right. Have you done the colon cancer screening test?
No.
But you know what I'm talking about?
Like a colonoscopy? Or the shit in the thing and send it back?
Shit in the thing and send it back.
I haven't done that.
Okay.
I don't think my doctor gives a shit about me.
Oh,
to be quite honest.
I'll go. We're going to talk about the poops.
It's probably because of my insurance. I don't know.
Because it's funny. So somewhere around my birthday, early mid-December, I got the card thing, whatever the pamphlet is.
Okay. That it's sent to you by your doctor?
Sent to me by my general practitioner.
Why? Well, how come I haven't gotten that? I'm 51.
Maybe it's like it came. Well, I don't know. I suppose, but every birthday it's raise a flag. It's Kaiser.
Oh, I'm not Kaiser.
Okay, maybe that's it.
I'm crappy. Crappy.
Sutter. Which doctor throw the bones?
I'm in the Sutter don't give a shit plan. I think.
I get this thing. from my doctor, and it's essentially it's
The
a
Cologuard.
it's a colon cancer screening kit.
Yeah, when you poop in a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is it?
Oh, sorry.
We'll get to the
Oh,
thing.
okay. Did you have to get help?
We'll get there, babies. So
Sorry. I'm just
yeah.
I'm just so excited.
We're talking about the poop. Well, so I'm covering this because I want to try and normalize that it's okay. So
Is it?
yeah, it's difficult.
I'm under you now. Go.
Yeah, ready, go. It's like Zach and Miri make a porno.
I have my mitt.
Yeah.
Shoot it.
Should leave me. What? I got the welder's mask. What are we doing? So, I'd open it. So this is December. I've had this kicking around.
That's not a poop. That's just a bundle of corn and peanuts.
Yeah, what is that?
Sorry.
What have you been eating? I've had this thing since December.
Okay.
And
you're just like, I'm not doing it.
well, it's kind of like, I haven't been bothering with it.
I don't have time for that.
Right. It's just fucking cancer or whatever. The funny thing is that I have seen, we have like in our master bathroom with Venus, we have like a little, where we hold our bath towels.
Okay, I was going to say poop catcher.
Yeah, the poop catcher, the poop net. Just swing from it and poop net. She's had this like envelope that I thought was like a fucking DMV thing. Like I don't know what she reads when she's shitting or
Okay.
pissing, whatever. But I had mentioned like, oh man, I got this thing for the doctor, and she's like, oh, is it the colon cancer? I'm like, yeah. She's like, yeah, I've had that in the bathroom. I'm like, oh, that's what it was. Like it kind of just makes its way around this small little cabinet. Like sometimes it's sitting on the towels, sometimes it's sitting on the wet wipes and the toilet paper.
Is your bathroom my bathroom?
Yeah.
Because my wife got the same thing and it went up on the thing above the toilet.
It just this thing like kind of just makes its migrating way like a nomad. Or, just around like this little cabinet. And at no point, it's not mine. So
Right.
I'd never bothered
You
to
don't
like,
pay attention to
It's
it.
like, fucking, what is she reading when she's in here? Like, what the fuck is that
Poop
thing?
in a bag, what?
Yeah. But just like, anyway, had never really given it much thought until she said, oh yeah, I have one too. I have to do mine too.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, okay, that's what that is. At some point, both of our envelopes made it into the bathroom, and between like, oh, I got to get a towel, the thing gets moved to some other fucking thing. Blah, 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 blah. Somewhere in January,
Yeah.
we're talking about the tests like moving around in the bathroom, and she gets this hot tip from someone who's apparently already taken it.
Yeah.
She's like, when you because the test involves, you're not shitting in the cup or a cup. The test comes with like this piece of like wax paper that you're supposed to stretch over your toilet bowl and then set your lid down on.
So you're
Yes.
you're saran wrapping the bowl.
Yes. And then you shit on the paper,
Yeah.
and then you stab it with your pokey Q-tip, whatever,
Yeah.
and then
And hopefully it's a solid one.
Yeah, right. So the lady essentially tells Venus, she's like, the paper is not going to stay on the bowl, so you're going to have to like tape the paper. Because otherwise, once you shit on it,
punches through.
it's gonna pull the paper down, and then it's compromised because it's in the water, and the whole
Right.
thing is to like take your sample,
a clean sample of your poo.
right? Because you don't want
your poo getting dirty.
Yeah, you don't want your toilet blue or your fucking Clorox disc or your urinal
Or
cake.
your husband's turd somehow
Yeah.
contaminating it.
Yeah. I came in too quick because the toilet was warm, so get out of the way, I've got a shit and the bowl's warm,
Right.
like kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this hot tip, like, oh, fucking it. All right, so now I have hot tip. Like, I'm going to have to make sure, because no one wants to, turn their sample in, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, do you eat Clorox? Like, that's not good. Do you have COVID? Like, you can't really fix it that way. Yeah. Like, the bleaching doesn't work.
Right.
So, well, I can't remember what day. I think it was Friday. I'm like, I'm gonna tackle.
I'm going for it, man.
I'm gonna tackle the thing. Now, a lot of it too is like, I didn't really care about doing it.
Yeah.
It was like you said, like, man, I don't want to put like a fucking USS submarine onto this thing, and then. I'm eating light and a lot of like...
It's got torpedo tubes.
Yeah, what the fuck? Down Periscope, motherfuckers. Like, that thing has its own propulsion. Like, what?
It's a nuclear sub.
Yeah, God damn.
I'm sending that to the fucking water treatment plant.
Yeah, that one's going all the way. Prepare for dive. So then I'm like, well, and I want to eat like a... so after some of my big runs, I don't want to fucking like back splatter and like, well, how am I supposed to get a sample from that? Like,
right.
Am I going to be flagged for something?
Right. It's because one loose deuce.
Right. I pound like a ramen and like a monster, and all of a sudden I get in some sort of screening bag that says I'm abnormally inhuman or something. Like, so I've always like, well, I kind of want to make sure that my last couple meals are normal and relatively solid, so I'm not, Jackson Pollock onto this paper,
right.
But also not sending a Hulkbuster through the fucking, Shaquille O'Neal into the paint kind of thing. So I get to Friday, I'm like, I can do this. Like, all right.
I'm excited now.
So I'm like, I ate light, so I'm not putting. All right, I got it.
I ate light.
So it's like, and two, like, you try and schedule where your poop is, because like I don't know how long this process is going to take, but if I'm shitting in between meetings or something, like I don't want to be trying to tackle this endeavor.
Right. And
I've got a 10 a.m. appointment or something, like I need to bulk some time out here. So Friday, day off, I've got the time. Like okay, yeah. All right, I'm gonna do this. So I go into the office. I'm like, okay, sorry, I got the hot tips of the tape. I grab the blue painter's tape. I get in the bathroom, and I'm like, all right, we can.
Now, do you put it in like a sling,
yeah.
Or do you?
Oh, yeah.
Make it taut?
Yeah. So right.
Is it a shit hammock
or is it like a
fucking trampoline?
Trampoline, right? So, I mean, I hadn't really. All I have is figurative data on how this is supposed to work.
Okay.
So I get in the bathroom and everything is. I pull open the pouch, get the paper out, and I'm like, okay. So, man, that's barely getting across the bowl.
Right.
Okay, so I get my tape out, tape on one side, go to tape on the other side, the tape comes off.
Oh.
I'm like, okay, so taping to porcelain is a problem. So then I'm like taping it really good. Oh, okay, the tape's good, but now it's
taut.
It's trampoline. And I went,
wait a sec.
Okay, how's that going to work?
That's not enough room.
Yeah. That's not good, because, and then when you're doing the deposit, like
stacks on stacks.
Right. And then you have the mail problem.
Oh, yeah.
Because got balls.
Don't want to be dragging it.
And there's a fucking hammock going across the toilet bowl. Where did my balls go? I'm not going to set my balls on this hammock. Like, how's that gonna? And if you're gifted or not, I don't know. But your cock has to go somewhere. Where's all this? Where's all my giblets going? In this,
you just hover and squeeze, man.
Right. So then I'm like, okay. The physics of this, I'm starting to grasp. Okay, so I've got it's taped. I'm gonna set the lid down, and I'm like. No, so I have to move this back. Like, there's no way for me to physically make this happen without like I have to move the paper back. I have to put my giblet somewhere.
Right.
So I need to carve out a space. So now I'm
So you can make the gravy.
right. So now I'm like kind of semi-squatting, trying to figure out how this whole operates.
You're like measuring.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so how the giblets are clear, but now I'm like semi-raised above, like I can't actually sit.
Right.
So it's like, oh, okay, now I'm getting nervous because I'm like, well, how do I make sure I get, but not shit myself all over?
Right.
I need to hit the paper.
Yeah.
But
and
now
then you got to take off all your clothes.
Right. Yeah. But now I'm up so far above the toilet that I'm like, it's going to have some inertia here. Like,
there's going to be some pressure.
Yeah. Now it has to be. Now I'm going from trampoline to I need hammock because I need
some firefighters down below.
Yeah. This thing needs some slack because I'm putting shit. I mean, bombardier, man. This is coming out the doors hot. Like, how the fuck? What's gonna happen here? so I'm retaping. I'm like, okay.
I'm just imagining you with no pants on doing all this.
That's exactly how this shit's going down. So now,
literally,
yeah. So I'm like, I'm giving some slack, and I'm like, okay, so. Right. And then I'm reading, now I've got to like read the directions. Like, okay, so what happens once I put the shit on the paper?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so now I've got to, I have to get up and grab the sample indicator or whatever, pull it out of its thing, and then I have to get up and
stab it.
And all of this needs to happen before the thing hits, you can't hit the water.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, well, I don't want, I have to poop.
Right.
I don't want to leave a whole giant coiled fucking steamer. Like, I don't trust the tape at this point. And I don't trust the depth in which it's going to be shooting. Like, I'm worried enough that I'm going to hit the fucking paper at this point.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not going to give way because I only got one shot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a mortar chance right there.
Right.
You're just like firing it. I don't know.
I hope it please hold. So I think I've got the whole process down. Like I think
measurements have been taken.
Right. So I'm in position, and now I'm getting like shitter's anxiety. Like
I don't think I can go now.
Right. Am I going to be able to like drop the sample, but not entirely drop the entire, like, you know, when you're peeing and you're like, can I pinch it off? Like, yeah. I need to be able to pinch, like, I don't know. When was the last time you're like,
pinch on demand?
I'm going to shit 25% of what I've got just for funsies.
Just squeeze it off.
Yeah. When was the last time none.
Never.
No one does it. You drop the whole thing, give it a go, full throttle, poop. Well, I'm like, now I'm in that position. I'm like, I don't know. I guess I got to just trust the system here.
What I'm picturing right now in my head is, have you seen any of the Ukrainian where they fly the drone over and then they drop little bombs onto the Russians down below, and you can see the bomb floating around?
Yeah.
And the drone is flying above and then it just drops on them. Have you seen any of those? Oh my gosh, that's what I'm picturing in my mind right now.
Yeah. So.
Okay, sorry.
I pull it off. Leave sample. Set sample. But then it's like, well, shit.
I'm not done.
Right. So you can't do anything. Shitty ass. You have to grab your thing because you can't do anything.
You got to unleash what you'd already dropped.
Right. So I grab the sample, poke the business, and then put it in the tube. And I'm like, sweet. But now I'm looking at this sample deposit on this paper.
And you're getting concerned.
And now I'm like, and then I'm reading the directions like, well, what the fuck happens now? Like, also, water masks the smell of shit to an extreme value.
For sure.
So it smells terrible.
Wait, your shit don't stink.
Yeah, smells terrible. And it's like the paper sample is flushable. Now, as someone that has recently been baking cookies over the holidays, this thing has the structural rigidity of parchment paper.
Right. You're never going to use it again.
You're right. I'm not going to. I would not flush wax paper down my toilet, and I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I'm not in it. I've already spent 30 minutes in this, like.
30 minutes like my dog trying to spin circles before he takes a shit.
I don't even know how I don't want to spend another 30 trying to a fucking wad of wax paper shit out of my toilet.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if it's biodegradable or whatever, or if
sure.
like liquid breaks it down, you would think your shit would have enough liquid in it that it would have
just fallen.
It would have just like eventually just caved through the middle.
But I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm not flushing this fucking. So, I waddle my ass into the kitchen to grab a Ziploc bag.
Oh no!
Where I then essentially untape and origami back my sampled shit paper into a Ziploc bag, hazmat style.
Oh, I bet you that was fun.
And then, yeah. Oh my God, it smells so bad.
And we need to put another fan in here.
Yeah. Oh God. Does that thing work? Shit, someone put a weed eater mower on that thing.
Jesus.
Yes, I need F5 caliber wind removal.
Oh my gosh.
And then, once it's out of the way, then I've got to complete the rest of the evacuation. Only to then, all right, well, then you put your sample and the thing in the biohazard bag, tape it, mail it.
Yeah. Did you pass?
I don't, fuck if I don't know. Yeah.
That sounds fun. I can't wait to do it.
My wife still has hers to go. Good luck.
Oh my gosh.
Man,
that's funny.
So Tony's thing, his TikTok had to do with 3 things that you should consider having around as if you're a therapist. And one was Beano as a therapist, because if you've eaten something, you don't want to be struggling with gas
while you're listening to
while
somebody.
you're in a session.
Yeah.
The second one was essentially it was like a charcoal filter. So if you do pass gas, at least it
doesn't smell.
Filters and it doesn't smell.
Yeah. Charcoal underwear.
Right. Because essentially, if you fart and it stinks, your client
is gonna know.
Oh,
that was you.
I mean, it's just us in here, and holy shit, are you doing a colon cancer screening test?
Are you eating Taco Bell for every meal, sir?
Yeah, wow. And the third one was like caffeine. So just in case you're tired and lethargic, and your client is telling a story, you don't nod off. You have something to keep yourself alert.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh fuck, yeah. So
wow, that's funny.
A whole bunch of poop.
That was a load of shit.
Yeah. And that reminded me of being at Dave and Nat's house.
Yeah.
They have the cool fancy toilets.
Yeah, those were nuts.
Now, we're all nerds for the most part. It had occurred to me that I would be the kind of person that would like to I'd fucking tinker with something like that. But the last thing that I would want to happen would be to how does this? I mean, if you looked at the remote on those things,
you're talking about tinker with his.
It's not entirely intuitive. You're like, man, if the Brussels sprouts or something didn't sit right and you have to do some business, you're like, oh, well, fucking, if you're gonna do it, those toilets are the places to get everybody happy and clean.
Yeah.
But it's like, those things are advanced as fuck.
Yeah.
And if you've never used one, you're like, well, the last thing I want to happen here is I'm going to turn something on, and I don't know what that button
Flood the
does.
house.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you hear, nyeh, nyeh, and like buzzers are going off, and your asshole's getting clean, but then you get up, and the thing comes back out again, and now you've got fucking but Bellagio fountain shit going on in the bathroom. You're like, how the fuck do I turn it? I just wanted a warm toilet seat. What the?
Right.
I would probably make a small set of cards just to have right on the counter. Like, hi.
Or maybe on the cabinet right
Right.
next to it.
Right. Just like, I know you're curious because I was too. If you just want to feel what it's like to have a warm toilet seat, all you have to do is press this button with just make like a small index card that has like, if you want to know how to just use the bidet part, you poop or whatever.
Yeah.
Like here, all you have to do is hit this button and this button. Here you know this. If you want to see fancy hot toilet seat, just all you have to do is press this button. It's going to shut off in 30 seconds or a minute or whatever. So that way, someone who was like, ooh, I would like, right? Because some of that, like Americans for the most part, that whole concept is foreign.
Yeah.
You go overseas or even Canada, right? These it's norm. It's that kind of hygiene is par. It's not taboo.
Right.
So if I had something like that, I would in my house. Nerd people, like everyone I know would be like, ooh, buttons. I would want a fucking technology nerd toilet. Absolutely. Yeah. I would like to, but I'm not gonna, because I don't know what these buttons mean. So I would leave like a small little like intro card, like, you're here for the first time. Yeah, it's fancy. Yes, it's cool. Before you sit down, press this button. It's just going to warm up the seat. No muss, no fuss. It'll auto shut itself off. Oh, perfect. All right. Do you want to try out what it's like to get your butthole sprayed? Get real good clean?
Yeah.
You press this button like a tutorial. So that way, people would be more acclimated to, oh, yeah. Because we say it at the end of the fucking show, wash your ass. Like, there's nothing wrong with good hygiene, especially ass hygiene. And the apprehensiveness of American culture with their ass seems like this, like, we should do more to help get people past that. There's to keep your shit clean, man.
When I was 18 and I went to Europe, we had some hotel rooms that had bidets in them, and it was like, whoo, oh, that's funny. But we wouldn't, at the time, like, not really understanding. It was like, I'm not using that shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, but I'm way more receptive to it now.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, price points aren't happy.
Well, I want to say
for
that
a good one,
for the toilets that they have at their house, I mean, they're heated seats, the water's heated, like everything is.
Yes, it's
like
that's the full Monty.
They're the nice ones. I had bought a retrofit kit for like a bidet kit for our bathroom.
Yeah,
but my wife didn't want to use it. It was one of those, and so it never got installed. I think it's still in my garage.
Do you have power in your bathroom?
No, but
that's the biggest struggle for us.
I don't think this required power. I think it was just water, and that's the other part of it is it would be cold water.
Oh, that would not work for me.
I know.
Like, I already have problems with the cold toilet seat.
Yeah.
But,
so if we were going to go that route, it would definitely have to put some kind of outlet.
Do you remember how much you paid? Like, wait, how'd you get the little nozzle? You got a crank or something? Like, if it's
I don't
not powered?
remember. It never got taken out of the box, really. I bought it on Woot. I think it was like $25.
Huh.
It was like on a really good deal. And I ordered it, and then there wasn't any positive reception to it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just sat in the garage. It's literally in the box in the garage.
Hmm.
So Just never happened. And that the other bit of that was like, it doesn't warm. There's, it's just a really dumb.
It would probably be an aggressive way to try and get into the concept, because everything would be like,
you'd be tightening up as soon as that stuff hit you.
Right.
Unless it's summertime.
Engage in that kind of net new thing, you would want like at least the water to be warm.
Right.
Yeah. If it's a pleasing experience, it would probably be more receptive to anyone who's like, I'm on the fence and I don't want that, and it's not doing anything for me outside spraying cold water on my asshole. Like, I'm gonna skip that one.
I don't remember what brand it is or what how it works or anything. It was literally years ago. And
Argonaut said he had one. I think I've heard him mention that they put one in the great COVID toilet paper shortage.
So in the one of the kinds like I have that would go underneath your.
I think it was a retrofit. I don't think he had. I don't think they
didn't change the bowl.
A whole toilet now.
Those are pretty pricey, I want to say, for the.
Do you know, like roughly? I don't.
I would assume they would be a couple $1,000s. Easy.
Really?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
For like the heated water and the heated seat and all the other washing, because there's like, especially like the Nat and Dave one that I saw, it had multiple settings.
Yeah, there was like a full like Harmony-sized remote with buttons, and I went,
and one of them changed channels.
Yeah, like, oh, but something's going to drop out of the ceiling, and you could watch Pornhub or something.
Yeah, one was a 40-degree pressure washer nozzle. Right. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
and one was the one that spins around.
Right. Like a flashlight adapter. What the fuck's going on in here, Dave?
Exactly. Oh, yeah. That was my prostate.
Did your wife come do our bathroom? Well, I already took the screening stuff. Will they take tape? Can I take tape?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I think they're cool. I don't have any problem with using them or whatever. I just haven't had other receptive people at the house.
People in the house.
Yeah.
I wonder if I've never really checked in with the kids to see if the kids have used, been in a place or if they've used one.
They're not very common here at all.
Yeah, my first one was I think we've mentioned it on the show before. This goes back years when Venus and I were first dating. McCooney's in their first location. Way out by Sunrise, wherever that was. I think it was off Douglas somewhere. The street name is probably irrelevant, but it was. They had one in there, and it absolutely like, oh, fucking! I don't have to poop, but wow, that's cool. And it was like, I'm
gonna try it anyway.
I come from up in the hills, so it's like fucking. I pee outside on oak trees.
You're used to using a branch to clean your asshole.
Yeah, is that a wasp nest? That's pulp. Fucking do it. Wipe your ass. It's clean.
Or soaking in the creek.
So that thing, it's just teabag.
There's my favorite rock.
Is that a bluegill? Just don't rub it the other way, because then the fins.
Right.
Yeah, those
are
are
pokey.
Spines bad. Unless you want a taint piercing. It was like a topic for a long time. It was like, my girlfriend took me to a place that was so fancy. They had the electrical toilets that do the water spray on your butthole.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was always like I've been somewhere.
That was fancy.
Where the toilets were where they were so fancy,
yeah.
Even the toilets were fancy.
I remember specifically there was a hotel we stayed at in Switzerland that had a bidet in the bathroom. That's just one. But I remember there were in several of our rooms.
Yeah, we had a couple hotels, I think, on our UK trip where it was like, duh. I'm like, sweet. Fucking I like
Were those
that.
warm water?
Yes.
Oh, they were?
Yes. One didn't look like it was, all the water was, it's hotel, so I don't know. I didn't see, it was warm. It was warm. I presume it was heated at somewhere along the lines. That was nice.
The problem with our house is in the winter, the water coming into the house is real cold. And in the summer, the water coming into the house is nice and warm until that water gets flushed from the hose bib through the house. That water is actually, like, when you have it on cold in the house, the first place that the water would go to is the kitchen. So if you have the sink on cold, it actually runs warm until that cold water can cool everything down and get into the house. And that takes a few minutes. It's like the opposite in the wintertime. It's really cold, and it takes a while for the hot water to make it from the hot water heater to wherever you are.
Yeah.
So we have the, like, total extreme difference, like, between summer and winter.
Yeah, and I remember Nat talking about that. Hashtag hey Nat.
Yeah.
Talking about that, with their system. And ours is the same way. It's like you turn on your shower, and I think she had it down to, like, gallons. She's like, it takes 3 gallons of water to come out of here.
Yeah.
Before it gets warm, and she's conscious,
Right. You got to, like, use a recirc
like,
pump or something.
Right. She's like, no one should have to, in order to get the water from a water heater or an electric water heater, it shouldn't take 3 to 5 gallons or minutes of running in order to get like warm.
It all depends on
cold.
Yeah, it all depends on where your pipes, how long they are, number one, and where those pipes run. If you have a raised foundation and the pipes are just under the house, those are going to be cold for a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If they're like, our houses are slab houses, so all the pipes are underground and running under your slab. Well, those get cold too, but they're not as bad as like a raised foundation piping, And if your hot water heater, if your shower is on the farthest point of the house from your hot water heater, it's going to take even longer for that thing to get hot water.
Yeah.
So, but
it's like, and like I was saying, like to try and be conscious. That reminds me, I wrote down her shower head fixture. I got to look that up too. It's like it's a typical first world problem, right? That you don't really think of until you have a conversation like we did when we were at their house, where she was talking about how smart, air quotes, smart and water friendly her fixtures were by intention. It's on the way back home, or as we're like looking back through stuff that we can do here in the house, like winter or spring projects and whatnot. It's like the taking for granted the ignorance of, I go out on my run, I come back, I start the shower because I know it's going to take minutes for it to get warm because we're at the far end of the house.
Yeah.
So, I'm shedding off the sweaty clothes. I turn on the water.
Yeah.
The water's running. I'll flush the toilet to help goose up the water. There's 10 gallons.
Right.
Gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, hey, you're not really thinking about that until you pay attention to the man.
That's a lot of water.
That's a
good
lot.
Water just going down the drain. Yeah.
And like the people who have no opportunity for clean water, period. And here is suburban dude, clean water is just running down the drain because it's not warm enough yet.
I saw a comedian was doing a bit, and he was talking like he was in the future, and he was like, "Oh wait, what? You don't have any water here? Oh man, back in my day, like we would just run the water because it wasn't warm enough, and that might take 5 or 10 minutes, kind of a thing."
Yeah,
it was pretty funny, but also that's super true.
Yeah.
Our shower at our house is pretty close to the hot water heater, so it doesn't take very long for the hot water to get there.
No, okay.
But
well, lucky you. Ours is at the other end of the fucking house.
The spare bathroom is at the far end of the other side of the house, and it does take a while for it to warm up. The sink, then the shower, both, especially the sink. My gosh, takes forever for you to get hot water out of it. But I think a recirc pump, right?
Yeah, that's what Dave was talking about.
Yeah,
that
will
something to
that would help with that. But You know, like people always say, oh, well, you can get an on-demand hot water. Well, that's not the problem. I got hot water.
Right. The distance still is cold water in between the two.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Exactly.
Right.
So
we're at time.
All right. Good chat.
Hey, man.
We talked all kinds of shit.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Hey, well, on that note, you should wash your ass.
You should wash your ass for sure.
Wash your ass.
Return the cart.
Wash your hands.
Wear the mask.
Check your oil, Tony.
Get the shot.
Return the cart.
Register to vote.
Make the call.
Do the kindness. We'll catch you next week.
And thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening.